What's up, everybody? Welcome to our magic call with Lisa and I. We're excited to have you. Today, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about building a community. And the reason I want to talk with you about this is because we've given you a really good foundation. If you've gone through all the library, and if you've had any sessions with Lisa and I, we've given you a really good foundation as far as, cultivating this magical business and how to promote yourself and how to, put the pieces together. But there's a piece of business building that is actually my favorite piece of it. Lisa's very good at it herself. And I think that I can tell you for me, it is what has kept me even in business for 2 years, able to replace a full-time income both years and deciding to change my focus several times within, what I do. And so what that is it's relating. It's literally relating to your people. And so the question becomes, okay, well, I'm into community building, so what the hell is that, right? So basically it's you developing this relationship and you kind of showing a little bit of like, even if it's a fourth of you, right? Vulnerable, like a vulnerable side to you. Doesn't have to be like all of you, but it's the piece within your business, right, that shows you or shows your people why they are like you and why you are like them. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to want to hang out with you if you are not like them. Like they're not gonna follow you. They're not gonna love you. They're not going to, buy from you repeatedly. They're not going to they're not going to show up to your live streams. They're not going to comment on your posts if they don't feel like you are like them and they are like you. Like, I want you to go back and I want you to really sit with and think about if you know any business owners off the top of your head who operate in a way that just you feel like they just think they're so much better than you. You don't hang out with them, right? Like, I know for me, I don't hang out with them, and I'm not going to buy from them if I don't feel like I'm like them. So the way that we show that is we start telling stories. We show that side. So we don't tell random ass stories. I don't necessarily want to know about your fucking cat, right? What I care about and what the stories need to be are all around, need to be kind of based around, that piece of you that is like your ideal client, and maybe what your mission is in your business or where you're going, or what the big, where you guys are moving to, what you're trying to accomplish, what the hell you've been through to get to where you're at. That's a really good, that's a really good story. It's a really good piece of content. A lot of times people can relate to the hell that you've gone through because that's currently where they're at, and that's why they're hanging out with you. So, really show people. Sometimes it's not all about teaching them. And in fact, I'm going to tell you that, like, most things that you're going to be teaching, not all things, but most things that you're teaching, people can Google, right? So what does that mean? That means that they're not buying you for your content necessarily. Some of you, yes, like Lisa, yes, like her and I've had many conversations. You cannot go and Google what her and her teacher, what her teachings are from her teacher, all of that. And that's why it's very exclusive. We've talked about that. But as far as, other things, you could pretty much Google it all. And so people are not buying because they want your content necessarily. They're buying because they want you to show them how you got to where you're at or how to do this thing, and they want you to do it because they are like you and they see themselves in you. But remember, the only way that they can see themselves in you is if you show that to them, right? So some action steps that I want to give you on how to be able to do this. 1, you need to start posting photos of yourself in, like, your real life, in, like, your face. So many people, if you're the front of your business, okay, like, you need to figure out who your attractive character is inside of your business. So for some of you, that's you. Like, for me, it's me. And in Lisa's business, it's her. Because you see our faces all the time, we show up, right? But for some of you who might have a product or however you want to do it, you're not using your face, you're using your client's face. Like, you know, a good example is Ivy, who does the one-stop consulting. You don't really see a lot of her. In fact, you don't see her at all unless she's doing a live. What you see a lot of her are her clients. So in her promotion, it's, you know, online, it's her website, and she's showing you, here, look, this is what we did for this client. Maybe you're a coach, maybe you're, you know, a brick and mortar, maybe you're this. And so she's developing that relationship that way, because she's showing you, okay, well, maybe if you're a coach, you can relate to this coach, and here's what we did for this coach. And maybe if you're not a service-based business, but you're a product-based business, well, here's what we did for this product-based company. And in brick and mortar, same thing, right? So you have to really be clear on, you know, what people are going to be relating to, whether it's you or it's, you know, other people. And you got to be very clear on that. And that's, honestly, this is a step that everyone loves to skip, because they don't like to think about it. But this is so important, because this is like pivotal. Like, this is who your people are going to be relating to. This is like how you're going to be building this community and this following and this love for either your service or your product. So don't skip this step. The second thing is going to be really figuring out what your story is. And this takes a lot of time. And what I mean by that is, what piece of your story do you need to be showing and sharing with people so that they can relate to you? And so what do we mean by that? Well, I can sit here and tell you my story. Like, I could tell you my story, and and I could say it 10 different ways to relate to 10 different people, right? You could do the exact same thing. The key here is to be relating to your people. So go back to like the foundation, as if you don't know who your people are, you need to be focusing on that. So if your people are entrepreneurs who are in corporate, well, why don't you talk about the corporate struggle? Talk about your experience in corporate and why you're doing what you're doing. Talk about how, you know, maybe where you got your experience in corporate and what you've been able to do and grow on the side, right? Like, so that story, if when they hear you say it over and over again, like, I did this and now I'm here. I was here and I struggled, but now I'm here and I'm not struggling. You know, all these things, when you do that, then they relate. They're like, I see myself in her. She gets me. I'm hanging out with this girl. And I'm telling you, or boy, right? But I'm hanging out with this person. And that is going to be how you are going to get repeat buyers. You're going to be able to sell, and it won't be hard. And you're going to have a very engaged community, okay? Another thing that I want to point out to you at this point is that the numbers don't matter. So the numbers of followers that you have don't necessarily matter if they're not engaged. So if you have a huge following or a huge Facebook group, but no one's engaging with you, and you know, you post content and it's crickets all the time, outside of the algorithm, they're not connecting with you. You're not, maybe it's too much about the product, it's too much about the service, it's too much teaching, and not enough storytelling, not enough relationship building. No, in the online world, remember, we have to build relationships because relationships come first. So if you go back and you think about brick and mortar, why do you go to that restaurant? You go there for the food. But why else do you go there? Well, because maybe, like for me, I can tell you why I go to restaurants. One, I like the food, but two, the atmosphere. And you're the same way. So I enjoy the atmosphere. That maybe it's a cop. For me, it's like a cop or a firefighter restaurant. I'm in all the way in. Like, the food could suck literally, but I'm going there, right? Like, that's just, and I'm loyal to that. And I'll stick up for that fucking restaurant. And anytime we have a party, I'm going to that restaurant because I relate. I see myself in them. Now don't take this the wrong way, but for me, going into a hippie restaurant, you won't see that from me. That's just not who I am. But for you, that might work. Why? Because you can relate. Like, you like the 70s, you know, and marijuana is what you like, and that's fine, okay? Like, but do you kind of see how the relations here, they're just it's very much the same. Like, you develop your relationship in a brick and mortar, this like the same way you have got to do it on Facebook, and so many are missing the punch line here. What you're doing is buy my product, buy my product, buy my product. But a restaurant, like, let's go back to the restaurant analogy. A restaurant puts so much into the atmosphere and paying attention to who they're hiring for wait staff and putting so much into the decor and like what the menu items are and what their menu item names are, because of the relationship with it. Like, why do you think most restaurants have like grilled cheese and tomato soup or macaroni and cheese? Like, right? Because emotionally we connect with that, because when we were kids, this is what we ate, right? And so you gotta build that relationship online. It's foundational. It's you can't skip it. And if all you're doing is posting about your services, you're failing. Like, you're missing you're missing this whole thing, and it's gonna be hard for you. So take a step back. Let's talk more about your story. Let's talk more about your experiences. Relate to them. Like, when you're in a conversation with somebody, aren't you like, oh yeah, I've done that. Oh, you're never gonna believe what happened to me. So this happened and it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I'll never do that again. And so they're going, yeah, me too. I totally get it. And then as you're having this conversation, what's going on? You're building rapport. As you build rapport and you find that you guys have all these things in common, what happens? You guys want to hang out, right? That's what happens. Same thing online. It's the exact same thing online, okay? And so I want you to go back and I want you to take these steps of not letting the numbers overwhelm you. 2, I want you to start focusing on, picking your vulnerable spot, like vulnerable, like slice of you, because I know not all of us, like, we don't really love to be vulnerable, right? So pick the angle, know who your people are, tell your stories over and over again, start relating to your people. Content, a couple times a week, but more importantly, be there and support them. Ask them what they want. Give them exactly what they want. Have a bigger mission than just yourself. Have a bigger reason that you guys are together and what you're moving towards, and really focus on building that relationship, the rapport, the exact same way you would as a brick and mortar. Lisa, do you have anything before I let them go?
Yeah, actually that was great. I think the things to add to that, to building a community, is being consistent. A lot of people will start showing up and they'll start, like, they'll get all gung-ho and they put one post up, nobody responds, they put a second, and then sometimes even by the first or second, maybe even third, if nobody responds, they go, okay, forget this, or they like kind of put it in the back burner. And you have to be consistent, even if no one shows up. The way that you can tell that you need to change things is probably when you do it for like a week, maybe a week. If you're posting things out there and, 4, 5, 6, 7 days later, you're not getting very much traction, then maybe it's to consider, okay, well, maybe I need to change what this post is about, or maybe I need to change whatever my topic is or something, right? And the easiest way to do that is also to ask your audience, and even if it's like 5 people in your group or whatever, or 5 people, the easy way to find out what to talk more about and stay connected. But definitely consistency and not being afraid to show up, because a lot of people will convince themselves not to show up. They'll convince themselves of so many things. And here's one of the things that I've done lately, which could be helpful, is, it's great to show up live. But if you're busy if you're not
right,
well, whatever it is, whatever's going on, and you're like, shit, I need to go live, but I now are probably look a hot mess. Well, do the audio live. There's nothing wrong with doing audio live and having a small, and even if it's one little thing. Yep. So it's like, there's no excuse to not being live unless you are completely, totally super busy. And then even then, if that's the case, you don't have to go every day. The thing is, it's consistency. So if you go you know, if you're on once a week and everybody knows you're going to be on once a week on Wednesdays, well, then that's fine. That's consistent. It doesn't have to be every day. As long as people can, you want people to know that they're going to, like, they expect you and that you're delivering. You're going to show up at that time.
Absolutely.
And following through is really important. If you can't follow through, or if you don't follow through for whatever reason, own up to it and let, because that's a vulnerability point right there. You know, if you know you couldn't show up because, you know what, I was just so tired and I just didn't really want to do it and blah blah blah. That's a great topic to have with your audience. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they can relate to you being a normal person and not this perfect, pristine brand that is just handled, and you're just, because that's not realistic on social media.
Right.
Where people have these big brands that look so great, and you think, okay, well, does this person not cook, not clean? Does this person not have children? Does this person not have, and make it look pretty? And then you start having all this pressure on yourself going, oh my God, I can't live up to that. I've got, you know, a bunch of kids. I've got a husband. I've got, you know, this. I've got dogs. I've got, you know, a part-time job. Live up to this, and then feeling bad, and feeling like your stuff you're putting out there is not enough or is mediocre compared to that. Well, that person, you know, a lot more expendable income, and they can pay people to put all this stuff up. A lot of times it's planning. A lot of times they're spending a weekend or whatever, like pumping out a bunch of content and then scheduling it out so it shows up and makes it look like that. And, you know, I'll admit, even for myself, Bev, whether it's, you know, like I look like I'm online, and sometimes I go, God, I'm not online enough. But, you know, a lot of times I may look like I'm online, but I'm not really on, feeling well, but I make sure that I'm still online so people, you know, continue to see me. So you have to like commit. I think that's another thing about building a community is committing. Like, are you committed to building a community? And what does a community mean to you? And what does a following mean to you? A following can mean money. That's what it will mean. If you have, you know, the more people are following you, the more opportunities are going to come knocking on your door, whether it's being part of a summit, whether it's some kind of collaboration, whether it's some kind of big project, whether it's even consulting jobs, or whether it's to remind yourself that whatever you're going to do and whatever strategy that you're going to take is going to, you know, you can follow through, and you're willing to commit and follow through. So those are my, I know that's like so not very magical, but you know, the only magical part to this part is really just doing the work and just doing it. Yeah, just do. And being clear about it, and don't feed into your bullshit when your mind starts going in circles and saying, no, I can't do this right now. I don't look like, there's a difference between I've got food on the stove, I've got a kid crying, I have to take the car in for something, and it's all in the next 30 minutes. Well, duh, yeah, you can't do that. You're not going to go online now too. But if it's like, okay, I'm here at home, I can be online. I'm gonna do the laundry right now, just because, or I'm gonna, you know, do this other thing just because. Well, you probably don't need to do that other thing. You could probably, you know, you can wait to do the laundry. And the last thing is, like, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be like, your posts don't have to be anything too crazy. You don't have to worry too much about constructing anything that's too perfect. Nobody wants perfect, because the new algorithm, it's like it has to be more real, more yourself.
Right.
And the other thing is, you know, your videos don't need to be super long.
Right.
It could even be a minute or two of like some reminder, some little thing. And that's it. That's my 2 cents.
No, I mean, it's so true, everything you just said. Yeah. So I appreciate you adding to that. So I want everybody, if you're listening to this, I want you to go and I want you to implement, Lisa, and I want you to implement, and that right there will be magic. And here's the thing, is you've got to know that the consistency over time is what's going to make you get the result. Okay, so it's not, You're not just going to go do this and people are going to come running. Like you've got to be willing. Like I'm going to give you an example for today. So I was up all night last night and I did not want to go live. Okay. But I made a commitment to myself. I said, no, I'm going live every single day at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. And I sat in bed at 9:45 and I was like, no, I don't need to. But you know what? I did. And I had good traction, I had a good following, and it is important because people need to know that you are going to be there for them. And if you are not there for them every day in some capacity, okay, posting audios, lives, whatever, they're going to forget about you. It's just the way that it is. It's just like a brick and mortar. If that store that you love,
Yeah.
is open random ass days and random ass
Yeah.
hours, you're not going to go there. You know what I mean? Because you can't count on it.
Right. And people need to like just just have to do it, and you have to just show up, and you have to like, pretend like your business is a brick and mortar and that you have customers knocking on your door that are coming in. All the businesses that I've seen when I had my brick and mortar, there were, businesses like businesses around us. And there were some that like, they would go out of business really quick and they were just flaky with their times.
Right.
It's like they were supposed to be open from this time to that time. And there was always a piece of paper on the window saying, out to lunch, emergency. What is wrong with this person?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And sure enough, they'd be gone. And or like not listening to your customers. That's another thing. I had a client that had a health food store, and people asked for certain things. And I remember having a conversation with the owner, and the owner's like, well, that's just too expensive for me to order. Okay, well, you have like people that are going to the other store to get it. They're willing to come here and get it from you. Yeah. Somebody actually already offered to pay in advance for you to order it, and you're not doing it because it's going to cost you too much. Well, then I don't know what to tell you. And guess what? They are not open. They are closed.
Right.
You just have to also be able to cater to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So go apply this. It's going to work like magic. It will be magic after. Give yourself a good 30 days of putting in the work, and you'll see a shift. And this is key. Community is key in business. We promise. All right. Thank you so much for watching this. If you guys have any questions, as always, please come right into the group, tag Lisa and I, and we'd be more than happy to answer. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.